In 2014, at the heights of his career, Vybz Kartel was imprisoned for the alleged murder of Clive "Lizard" Williams, one of his associates. Cartel was a dominant figure in dancehall at the time.
Cartel said to the terrorists he was taken away from the Supreme Court. Earlier, Gaza fans face off against cops on bikes, in armored cars, cops wearing gas masks and carrying riot shields.
With his imprisonment, some thought it was over for the genre. But a young artist saw an opportunity to take over the game.
Jamaica people, you have to be prepared. Young DJ and the rise, be aware. Not DJ and out there with me fair, no.
That artist was named Alkaline. Alkaline, who was determined to make it by any means necessary, had previously learned when he released the music video for Not a Slack Song, which featured nude women. That controversy brought interest to his music, as it helped him appear in the news for the first time. Controversy became Alkaline's main marketing strategy from that point on, with the artist purposely trying to be as controversial, raunchy, and feisty as possible.
Alkaline is just a dancehall artist who is just raunchy. He sings, I say whatever people don't want me to say. You saw me I say?
Alkaline bleaching, I'm proud of it.
Alkaline is a brand, and with all businesses you have to continue to evolve, to maintain, like to be fresh and interesting at every given time. So that's what I'm doing, and I'll continue to do.
Most shockingly, he would get a black eye, which he claimed was tattooed.
No, Alkaline, you said look into your eyes. I'm looking into your eyes.
Yeah, they're so beautiful, yeah.
But I don't see no pupils. Tell me, what's with the eyes?
I do have a pupil, but you don't know a tattoo, because I mean, with every generation you have to up the previous generation, and the previous generation was at what? Skin bleaching and them thing there. So right now, it's different trend, new sensation, the future, the present and the past, and the rest of the DJ them last.
Vybz Kartel was also known for relying on controversy to bring attention to his music. In fact, Cartel was a master in the art of using controversy, being one the first DJ to openly bleach his skin, be full of tattoos,
tattoo sell off, everybody have to look. Gyal say me pretty like a coloring book. She say me skin pretty like a coloring book.
use demonic themes in his music,
You gotta say from me a little boy. She see the mark and the beast on the eye. 666, any gyal, any guy, give me 6 foot 6 with 6 pieces of life.
and endorse women sucking wood.
Some people see me up on the internet and I like the picture them when them sit on the internet. Some boy, if from them born a girl never suck them wood yet. But the girl with them, I'm my with she so. I'm a friend them also.
Because of this, as well as Alkaline's nasal delivery, which to many was reminiscent of Vybz Kartel's own, people immediately started comparing the two DJs. But Alkaline would deny getting any special inspiration from Cartel.
Special to you.
I'm inspired by
That's
people.
what you said then?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Do you want to take that back? Or
No, I'm going to take back nothing.
Have you revised that?
No.
You don't?
No, he's a good artist. What do you want me to say?
That you're borrowing a few things from it.
What me bar?
Such as your...
Me number one clothes, me and everything.
Your
Man thing, bleaching their own longer than me. So I say from ever since. So I don't know how them a give one man copyright to bleaching. If you not talk them way there, you have to say some man a copy from even MJ too. No. So some people know them attack. So.
Which offended not just Gaza fans, but according to some, even the world boss himself. On top of that, Alkaline had released in February a controversial song with lyrics interpreted as promoting unsanitary activities. Multiple DJs would call out Alkaline.
Now, Alkaline is a talented DJ, but him just accept the fact that him living a Vybz Kartel shadow and him a try be Vybz Kartel. Okay. You know what I mean? And him still now come and say him a try be Vybz Kartel.
There's nothing to hype about. You're in Vybz Kartel image. Like, come on. And you're not giving him props for it. That's the thing. You try to disrespect Vybz Kartel.
As the months went by, Alkaline would multiply the antics. He'd start wearing satanic jewelry and bleached his skin, onto which new tattoos were added every few months.
Light skin, full of tattoo, what a blessing.
Cartel one day suddenly released the song Box Lunch in October, which many interpreted as an Alkaline diss, styling the DJ as a little school child.
You're not in a Gaza league. So me make a little girl and you just box your down quicker than a box lunch and punch up your face quicker than a fruit punch.
Alkaline would not waste any time and respond a few days later with One in a Dem Head on the same rhythm. The introduction made fun of Cartel's ability to record diss songs behind bars. Alkaline would utter lyrics claiming he did not care for Vybz Kartel's alleged criminal links, which were highly publicized at the time of his arrest.
Mount Titan when me see Jack, so me no frightened feeling.
Meanwhile, the Gaza camp was offended this young artist would dare disrespect the world boss. Tommy Lee Sparta, a legendary Gaza DJ from Montego Bay, would find himself on the same plane as Alkaline in November, both going to Trinidad for a show. Tommy Lee was minding his business when suddenly he heard Alkaline play. Knowing it was a diss track towards his boss, Tommy Lee sat beside Alkaline, blocking the way. His goal was to see if the same man who sung that he was not frightened for links would be frightened to go to the bathroom.
Me and my play one tune, but one in the Medina. Alright, one in the Medina. I'm not say if you use the bathroom to the car. I'm not say if you ask me for pass to go use the bathroom. But you ask me, say you're not ramp, and you go stay.
In a January 2015 interview, Alkaline would deny being scared of Tommy Lee.
Talk about an in-flight incident with Tommy Lee.
What incident?
An incident where you were sitting in the same...
I followed up in my child, like I play thing. That's what I said, but watch out.
It didn't happen?
Me might then have playing on stage, so January. BBC a link me for a feature.
Yes.
You have like 15 with him in my email for done by Thursday. That's what I say, oh, I'm supposed to go Fort Lauderdale Friday. And all of them things, I need to shoot a video next week. That's what I say, so them things are on my brain. I make all if I write this. That's what I say. In your brain now, you go like I say, Jano. You see them beside the Alkaline in real life. Yo, every day, hold my phone. Take a picture, Instagram, turn up. That's what I say. That's what I show you, say someone just free like some little kids. That's what I say. Them bring in a matches box. That's what I say. Me not made everything. You see me? Because if I really check the statistics of the ratio, them are rugrat to win in every category.
Although Cartel was in jail, he was still releasing hits. In March, he would release the song Money Me A Look. It was a huge hit in the streets, being a very motivating song that uses imagery anyone who comes from struggle can relate to.
Me know about sardine, mackerel, olive bean, chicken foot, chicken neck, chicken back. Nothing a waste, nothing a dash way.
It's a song that makes you look at your struggle and just want to get rich as fast as possible.
Bank book, I feel big like Sunday cleaner. New smartphone with multimedia.
But 2 months later, an even bigger hit would be released on the same rhythm by Alkaline himself, On Fleek. On Fleek would go on to become one of the most popular girl song of all times, doing absolutely insane numbers on streaming platforms. Although Money Me A Look did pretty well, On Fleek far surpassed its success. Some months later, Alkaline would release the song Object Bingo. He would start the intro by comparing himself to a corner league player who takes on Messi, which would be Vybz Cartel.
I'm as a corner league player. Corner league, pile Messi, which is a world star and things like that. When you pile Messi, you know how much people are going to play for them? And Messi thing.
The cover art would show a cracked SIM card with blood on it, as well as a Vendetta 2016 folder. Alkaline has a tendency to use cover art in a lyrical manner. The meaning of this cover art being that Alkaline has a plan to take over dancehall by the year 2016, with a folder full of songs to do so. The cracked SIM card symbolizes Vybz Cartel, who, behind bars, relies on mobile technology to keep his music career alive. A few days later, Alkaline would release the song All About the Money, which would also be a huge hit and use the same cover art. In this song, he would proudly talk about his struggles, his pain, his journey to fame. He would also claim victory over Cartel, the heavyweight in dancehall, probably because of the success of On Fleek in comparison to Money Me A Look. Vybz Cartel would counteract Object Bingo a few days later with the song Which League.
Man as a corner league player. Corner league, pile Messi.
Too stuck in your fucking heart. A which league them a play, them a juggle balls. I did you go kill everybody before second half.
In November, Alkaline would release yet another hit, Champion Boy. With many, including Cartel, styling Alkaline as a schoolboy and a nerd, the DJ would not at all be ashamed, and instead do something almost no one in dancehall had done before him. He would brag about his education and his school. In a few lines, he would also diss subliminally either Tommy Lee or Gage, as well as either Tommy Lee or Cartel, both of which have had their visas denied in the past, and the later of which was in jail. Alkaline now felt on top of the world, but more and more was to come, both for him and the public. Around the end of the year, the artist would post a picture which shocked everyone. He had normal eyes. It was finally revealed Alkaline had been lying the whole time and was wearing contact lenses. But the artist had already reaped the benefits of this marketing strategy and was ready to capitalize on his newfound celebrity. He would start 2016 by releasing his album New Level Unlocked, the lead single of which, City, included disses aimed at the public. Vybz Kartel and his protege Popcaan, who was on the rise to stardom after signing to the popular Canadian rapper Drake and was known for very unique hairstyles. Popcaan would counteract that song in April, making fun of Alkaline's love of designer clothing and claiming to be the one with the key to the city. In July 2016, Alkaline would release Block and Delete, a song where he sings about not being a desperate man who will keep chasing a woman after she disrespects him. Cartel, even though he was in jail, decided to counteract that song with Couldn't. In this song, Cartel would tell a woman Alkaline, blocked and deleted, that he could never treat her the way Alkaline does, which Cartel claims is by beating her, eating her pum-pum, and doing unsanitary activities with her bottom. Cartel would also again style Alkaline as a little schoolboy.
I fuck a bag of virgin, from him was a virgin, I got class.
Vybz Kartel was not unfamiliar with the art of using girl songs as diss songs. Movado, with whom he went back and forth in one of the most intense and historical clash in dancehall history, was a pioneer in that art, having used Cartel's controversial relationship with his baby mother, Shorty Boss, to style him in very creative ways back in 2009.
She sing Alkaline with a knife, me up. She do it again, she beat him. When a step boy get a ill cheat him again. She defeat him. Them a fight for the cream, for the bleaching. Once man at the house and them gyal a kill them with lick. She program him like a chip, clean the bathroom and wash the tiling.
This showed that artists did not necessarily have to sing about guns and badness to diss someone wicked. Soon, Alkaline would take a page out of Movado's book, as we will later see. In October, Cartel would release Mercy, which many interpreted as an Alkaline diss song. Later on, he would revive his war with Movado by releasing the song Round Corner. Although mainly about Movado, Alkaline received a Stray Bullet, which was Cartel's most direct diss to Alkaline ever in a song.
Kill him with the little blind boy. One in the little blind boy, I fall blood in your eye, no biggie yard white all.
Some weeks later, Alkaline would release the ruthless song Extra Lesson, his response to Couldn't. Although Cartel calls himself the teacher in this song, Alkaline would style him as a girl clown in dire need of extra lessons on girlist science. Alkaline would make fun of Cartel for breeding the first girl he got, as according to him, that was because he was desperate to keep her. He would also make fun of him for gossiping about another man to a woman and couldn't, as this is not very masculine. And for being imprisoned. Extra Lesson would go on to be a huge hit song. But Alkaline knew a song about girls was not enough, especially against a DJ of Cartel's caliber. He had to go more direct, more grimy, more violent. This is when he released Ricochet, counteracting Round Corner directly.
If I try shoot on corner, I end up shot himself. Ricochet up at the wall and knock him flat in fell.
As well as many other Cartel songs, all the while referencing his incarceration.
Should be a head, should a real shot take it all.
Vybz Kartel would not respond. In December, Alkaline would release Badness It Name, where he would sing those lines. Those lines can be interpreted in two ways. The first and most simple one is that Alkaline goes in front of an actual judge for a crime and tells her that people will still lose their lives on the streets even if he's imprisoned, as that's just how badness goes. Imprisoning a Don doesn't change much, as they can still send orders. The second is that the judge is the public. That is, outraged Alkaline would diss Cartel, who is imprisoned. Alkaline tells the public that he does not care, as that's just how badness goes. Alkaline claims that he was not the one who started the war, so why are people complaining when he responds? The chorus would boast about having deleted the father and the son.
So the father, so the son, they be same. Badness is them. Them beg feet, no, they want to complain. They're not here, no. They're in a category with a hurricane.
Likely referring to Cartel and Popcaan. The year was about to finish. It was intense. Everyone was relieved, having a good time.
Happy that you lived to see 2017. I want you to make some noise on the lowest on top of your voice. So many people did not make it this year to see this beautiful day.
But one man refused to relax. Suddenly, Popcaan would pop his bubble head out of nowhere and tell Alkaline, Alkaline would forward 8 days later with his response, Microwave, widely considered one of the most disrespectful diss song of all times.
I feel like that's one of the most disrespectful diss song. I'm telling Arlene people. It's that song there. That song they mash up Popcaan. That song they deal with Popcaan wicked. Microwave, you a bait.
A week would go by without Popcaan responding, and Alkaline would push his foot again with Death to Microwave, where he would quite literally include a prayer by Popcaan's mother, while making fun of him for failing to respond quickly. Alkaline and Popcaan knew each other through the producer Not Nice. Not Nice became popular after making rhythms for Vybz Cartel and the Gaza Empire in the early 10s, which is how Popcaan knew him. Later on, Not Nice would also have a child with Popcaan's sister, Unruly Squid. After Cartel went to jail, Not Nice linked with Alkaline, which some disliked. Popcaan in particular was allegedly angry at Not Nice for contributing to Alkaline's rise to fame.
So he vexed me from I left Gaza. He vexed me for that. He might tell me say he vexed me for boss Alkaline. Well, if he vexed me for that, brother, me boss Alkaline to get you out.
Evidently, Alkaline and Popcaan seem to have personal issues that go deeper than the music, which would explain the level of disrespect and hatred Alkaline projected in these diss songs. 3 days later, no response from the son, but the father would release the diss track, Closed Casket. With this song, Cartel reminds everyone of the grimy DJ he has always been. He starts by calling Alkaline a nerd, and then sings about murdering him in very vivid and gory imagery. He makes a witty wordplay between M16 and 2016, telling Alkaline that he cannot stop Cartel from dominating dancehall and that his 2016 plans will not succeed. Alkaline would not respond. In March, Alkaline would debut his New Rules concert at the National Park Stadium in Kingston. It would be a great success, pulling an enormous crowd by the standards of the time in Jamaica. He would sing some of his diss songs and specifically call out Popcaan. In February, Cartel would diss Alkaline again on the song Highest Level, which counteracts Alkaline's hit song After All. In July, Alkaline would perform at Reggae Sumfest and diss both Popcaan and Tommy Lee Brawling.
Hey, boy, Michael, nobody feel like you get way, you know. I'm a friend that I fancy them. Yeah, hear me now, man. I'm if the streets don't know, man, legend in a war, never get. If there's a marathon, I see you backstage. I hope you hear that one there. Anyway, what the girl is them there in a sound fest? Listen. I know everybody got a blessing song money, blessing song money, the extra lesson.
In October, Cartel would release the song Kremlin, where he claimed Alkaline owes him money for stealing his style. Alkaline felt on top of the world. He was about to turn 24 years old on December the 19th and had done more in the last 2 years than most artists could ever dream of doing in even 2 decades. To celebrate, he would organize a birthday bash at a Florida club in America. Tony Matterhorn, a famous selector, was behind the disc jockey. Matterhorn had been one of the main selectors pushing the song Champion Boy when it released, even having the audacity to play it at a party dedicated to Vybz Kartel. Everyone was having fun that night, but suddenly they heard. After playing this song, which contains a diss towards Alkaline, Matterhorn would keep DJing as if nothing happened, switching to an Idonia song. But as Matterhorn Alkaline towards him, grabbed the microphone from his hands and called him a kitty in front of the entire club. Matterhorn, who claims to be a short-tempered bad man, decided to control himself. He kept selecting with his mouth shut as Alkaline, now holding the microphone, performed some of his songs. This event caused friction between Alkaline and Matterhorn. To Matterhorn, he was just playing good music and did not care who it came from. Matterhorn also claims he could have turned to violence that night, but decided to be the bigger man.
When you be a bigger man and you go so boom, then everybody say, you're punk. Then support me to go on the real blood clot madhead Matterhorn. Remember I said the whole of my goons them in there and all these things. Me just a try and make a situation look good.
He was expecting an apology from Alkaline following those events. But after nothing, and with the public mocking him as a kitty, Matterhorn would later announce a 1-year ban on Alkaline for disrespecting him so brazenly.
Me said me a give Alkaline 1-year bumper clot ban. Who not like it, suck your mother. Don't forget something gonna shoot up on a blood clot. I'm a wallet. So when you see me say 1-year ban, Alkaline, suck your mother.
On the 16th of November, Alkaline would release a diss track towards Cartel, Bounty Killer, and Tommy Lee Sparta called Heartless Killers.
Big bad and brave boy. Fool saying big bad and bold. Now frighten a soul.
Cartel would respond on Facebook by repeating his claim from Kremlin that Alkaline owes him money for stealing his style, and by arguing that, in counteracting a song made in 2011, Alkaline proved that he was a fan. Meanwhile, in prison, Cartel's health condition was getting worse and worse with each day. The DJ was fighting for his life and dealing with stress left and right, from having to take care of his family and children, to maintaining his status in dancehall, to fighting his case. Cartel had a lot of weight on his shoulders. A picture of Cartel from jail would be released. The public, noticing that he gained weight, felt concerned about the artist. But Alkaline's producer, Gigo Don, did not have any sympathy for his opponent, making fun of him brawling in an IG post. Alkaline would respond to the same post by laughing. For the rest of 2019, Alkaline would not have much of a back and forth with Cartel, but rather with Squash and the Six Camp, which is on friendly terms with Gaza. We will not discuss this war here, as it deserves its own video. In 2020, a young artist named Intense would start to make noise in the industry. Intense was very obviously inspired by Alkaline and even paid homage to the artist at times. Alkaline and Gigo Don would friend Intense, with Gigo Don making multiple rhythms for him. In March, Intense would release the song Tears Them Dry. This song would do huge numbers and be #1 trending song on YouTube Jamaica. At the same time, Vybz Kartel had released a very successful hit, Up Top Gaza, with TJ. Cartel, wondering how a newcomer could take the #1 spot from him, would suggest the young artist was buying views. Intense would later deny these allegations. 4 days later, an audio would be leaked where a man identified by the internet as Intense made fun of Cartel for not having access to Poom Poom behind bars. Intense would later deny that it was him in that audio in an interview with the vlogger Terodon. 2 days later, Alkaline would release the song Na Fi Like, where he dissed Cartel for Intense, making fun of him for not getting Poom Poom in jail and claiming that Cartel does not run the streets. Cartel would respond to this diss track by posting a mock prayer referencing his hit song Fever and making fun of the current state of Alkaline's career.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be in America, counting buildings and billboards instead of climbing the billboard charts and selling gold, while Cartel locked up not getting Poom Poom. Lord, I don't have a child because my sperm count is low, and I didn't have Poom Poom until after graduation. What must I do? I now realize the Brata ting can't breed girls. Lord, I made a song today and I couldn't help calling Cartel's name because in my mind, I think he's the greatest DJ ever, and without him, my career would remain on the ventilator. Thank you, Lord. From the blind boy.
Alkaline would respond to the prayer by making fun of Cartel's health issues. In September, Intense and his friend, Iwata, would finally respond to Cartel's disrespect with the song Havoc. They would reference a few of Alkaline's lyrics, style Cartel as a fat boy and as a friend killer, likely because of the alleged murder of his associate Clive Lizard Williams. Cartel would respond in October with the song Skate, made with his protege Sika Rhymes. Parts of the music video for this song were filmed at Intense's Community of Tavern in Kingston as a way for Cartel to assert his dominance over Intense in his own community. In 2021, Alkaline would release his album Top Price. After its first week sales were revealed, Popcaan and Bounty Killer would make fun of Alkaline and call his album Flop Fries. Alkaline's manager and sister, Kereberry, would retaliate by reposting fan posts, making fun of Vybz Cartel, Skillibeng and Spice for having lower first-week sales on their recently released albums than Alkaline's Top Prize, which the Gaza camp had alleged was a flop. This so-called Flop Fries album would indeed do very good numbers, getting the number 2 spot on the Billboard's reggae album chart. On December the 28th of 2021, Vybz Cartel would call out a vloggers in an IG story for comparing him to Alkaline, something that greatly offended him.
This wasteboy vlogger who tries to size up his little copycat artist against a giant, history won't remember them, just like history doesn't remember 99% of the men in Bob Marley's era. Enjoy the moment. It will be fleeting. 11 years later, and the whole world still wears Clarks, the whole world still bleaches and gets tattoos like ink can't done. Which global trend did they set? Which continent do they control? How many giants did they create? How many decades of greatness do they have? If I was paying child support, I would be broke because they are all my sons.
For most of 2022, we would not see much of a back and forth between the two artists. Cartel was dealing with a lot of struggle in jail. That being said, Alkaline subliminally addressed Vybz Cartel, Masika, Popcaan and Squash on the cover of his song Profile. The cover art for this song represents a poker game table, which Alkaline is using as a metaphor to dare his competition to bet their careers against him, like how you do bettings in a poker game. Alkaline would be the player in the middle who has Jamaica or JA in his hands, with most of the chips. Around Jamaica are other sets of cards representing different artists. Masika is represented by the 438 set of cards after his album of the same name. Squash by 339 as 3 plus 3 equals 6, and Alkaline had styled Squash as 6-9 in the past.
Your general a freaky boy, we see the 9 after the 6.
The K35 set of cards represents Vybz Cartel, as Cartel is spelled with the letter K, and Cartel was sentenced to a 35-year prison sentence. The K card also represents a king, which is something Cartel has claimed to be numerous times. To make his message even clearer, Alkaline uses a peculiar version of the king card, where the king is behind bars, just like Cartel. The Joker card represents Popcaan, who, like Alkaline had said in City, has bubbles in his head, which is reminiscent of a clown's hat. Masika is the only one other than Alkaline who still has chips. He is also the only one Alkaline has never had a lyrical back and forth with, beyond subliminal shades. So this cover art is mainly daring Masika to bet his career against Alkaline, while claiming victory over Cartel, Squash, and Popcaan. In 2024, Alkaline would release the song New Rival. The song does not contain any obvious diss towards Cartel. It is actually a Masika diss, but overall in this song, Alkaline claims to have no rival in the game. Cartel might have interpreted this as a diss, as he would later release a warning in the song Drag Dem Bat, telling Alkaline that a week later, Alkaline would respond directly with Not a Clone. With a Jamaican accent, clone is pronounced similar to clown, so Alkaline is saying he's not a clone of Cartel and that Cartel is a clown. In July of 2024, Vybz Cartel would finally be released from jail. He would be received by his business partners and his woman, Cdem. To celebrate his release, Cartel would announce a concert, Freedom Streets. The first song he would release after having been released was The Comet, which would do huge numbers. The Comet contained a line many fans interpreted as a diss towards Alkaline. On September, Alkaline would release Take a Girl, which had one line people considered a Cartel diss, but it might be a reach. Some fans would even argue the entire song was referring to Cdem, although nothing confirms this theory. In October, Alkaline would release the song Dangerous Youth, which contained a line claiming to put handicap on mute. Given Vybz Cartel's health issues, this is likely a disrespect towards him. In November, Vybz Cartel would have a TVJ interview to advertise Black Friday discounts for his highly anticipated Freedom Streets concert. When asked about Alkaline, he would first try to ignore the artist by saying,
Alkaline?
I mean, it's a good water. It's
good water, in reference to alkaline water. When the interviewer would press Cartel for more, Cartel would give his opinion on the importance of paying respects to artists who paved the way for you.
Not his career, every career. The same way, I'm not afraid to say, Buju Banton, I'm my biggest inspiration. Why Vybz Cartel is so great, I'm not just Vybz Cartel, I'm a fan, I'm a student of the music. And once you accept that, you will reach far. If you don't accept that, you're not going nowhere. And that's just the truth.
In December the 23rd of 2024, Vybz Cartel would address Alkaline in an interview with The Fix.
No, I mean, no problem with them, but the media create a problem there.
Okay. It never bothered you?
No. But what? We, remember, we are war artists, war angel, my name. But we're not a problem. Why would I pray I get a youth for rich?
Did you ever pre-man a level to go to war with him?
No, because a kid. Who's a fuck man war with kids?
So even
Mula was him a massacre him for them generation. And that's gonna be a good war.
Yeah,
because two of them different in the way me and my father did different, in the way Beanie and Bunty did different, in the way Ninja and Shabba did different.
Yeah.
On New Year's Eve, the legendary Freedom Street concert would start. Surprisingly, the Alkaline song After All would play as the DJ Chris Diamond was selecting before Cartel came to the stage.
No, say you rate somebody. Say you. After all. Don't play the...
Later on, Spice would freestyle over the rhythm for The Comet and claim Alkaline is not in Cartel's league.
Fresh up the prison and I make more money than no artists where they are road. Or if you come here, Alkaline, him a the student to the world boss team. Who do I go like a two but a one world boss? One Adija Papa.
Something that she had said before in another freestyle in Reggae Sumfest 2016. Freedom Street ended up being a huge success.
When you can go through any rough situation and come out on top, because God is the greatest. No?
On the 10th of January 2025, Alkaline would release the song Earn Your Way. I broke down the song in detail in a review that you should definitely check out. It includes multiple shades towards Alkaline's opposition, including Cartel. On the 15th of January 2025, Cartel had an interview with DJ Academics, where he would make bold claims about Alkaline copying him.
The style and the whole feel kind of makes people feel like what you gave. Why isn't there, you know, maybe that relationship there? Why do you think?
I'm not a fan, you know what I mean? I'm just not a fan. But he's cool, he's alright, I guess. But I'm not a fan of that.
You just didn't want to pay some homage, right?
No.
Like when he just come out and he was acting like he don't really know you. Like he never.
Which you and I know that's impossible.
Okay, and we get.
I mean, imitation is a form of flattery, but I mean, I'm not flattered. I don't need props from anyone except my fans. Why would I need props from someone that everyone knows is biting my style, biting my image, biting my persona?
Do you think it's biting, or do you think it's...
If you're in your 30s, I raised you. Yeah, I mean, there are pictures of them, all those kids, before they became famous, throwing up the Gaza sign. Come on. Remember that entire generation was raised on Cartel music.